and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. My name is Mitch Pattinson, and as always, we're joined by Ethan Daffy. And today we are reviewing Geelong v Carlton. Final scores were, of course, Carlton 15 goals, 15, 105 points to the Cats, 18 goals, 10, 118, 13-point loss. But the first thing that we have to do before I throw it to you, Daffy Boy, is absolute credit to the Cats. I think it was a good experience for us to kind of get that finals feeling, I guess, from last year and having it for probably the first time this year. Let's be real, they are a genuine contender, and I'm starting to really regret doing my predictions at the start of the year because I had Cats as like 15th or 16th on my own prediction because I just thought they were going to fall, but hasn't that come back to bite me in the bum. So anyway, mate, I'm going to throw it straight to you, mate. How are you? And what was your initial thoughts of the game last night?
No, I'm good. It was it was a battle. It was a mental battle in the stands as well, just in terms of, just riding every moment and every bump and every tackle. It was when the Anzac, the whole pre-game stuff, looking around the crowd, I'm like, what the hell? This is like a grand final. The crowd was ridiculous. I was like, whoa, like it took me, we go to a lot of footy games. It kind of took me aback a bit, like, whoa, like we're a part of these good games now, which is a positive for us, especially being able to match a team like that and being in the game with them neck and neck, not them being the good team and us being the, middle of the road. So, the game, just initially, like you said, credit to them. Like that's why they've been good for so long. They are what every club aspires to be in terms of success and continued success. They've got, superstars around the park, and they just keep bringing in young guys who, just superstars. One comes to mind is probably Ollie Dempsey. Just guys who know how to use the footy and are clean, and they're selfless too. They're a very selfless football team. But I must say, we've got them in, I think, round 15, which is 7 rounds to go until we play them again. Bring it on.
And to touch on straight away about the crowd, of course, it was 87,000 in total. And I think, I don't know if I heard it correctly, but I think that's the biggest Geelong home game in their history.
Yes.
Is that right? Yes. So,
and
it obviously shows that when you bring out the best club in the land, so I was saying, when they announced it, I was like, no worries, Cats fans.
Exactly.
We're coming in. But it's good to see that because I think it's obviously because we are now classified as a good side, but also having a top four. I mean, it was they were first and we were fifth, but it was pretty much a top four clash. And it was a match that I think lived up to the expectations to start off with, of course. Now, you can mention a few things. We saw the fan cams last night on Blue Abroad, of course, with Terry, and we've kind of gone through because we're obviously recording this at 2:30 tonight. We're going to try and release it tonight at Sunday night. And we've obviously gone through a few things of other people's opinions. Now, it's very, I'll say it's very divided. So there's people that are saying, great contest, like great game of football. As a mutual supporter, you would be absolutely thriving right now watching that football. And then there's the other side where it's anger, it's frustration. It's how have we let this game go once again? So I'm going to go straight to you, Daffy Boy. So we're going to touch on the initial thoughts, of course, but so I'm going to read through very quickly. So of course we tested ourselves against the best in the competition. Let's be real, they are the best in the competition at right now. The comeback at the end was positive, but as it says there, too little, too late. So I'm going to throw straight to you, Daffy Boy. What kind of area are you in? Are you more in the area of that's a great experience knowing that that's once again finals football, big crowd at the MCG against right now it is a grand final opponent, and that could be a grand final matchup if all goes well from both ends? Or are you in the area of like, we've let this go again. Once again, our conversion wasn't great, 15 goals, 15. And I think I had a look through the games this year, and I think we've only scored, only 3 games. We've kicked more goals than points. So what area are you in? Are you more of the positive side of like, that's a great experience and we can learn from this? Or are you in the negative side of like, that's just, we are over this mediocre performances. When is it going to stop?
Yeah, it's no, I'm definitely on the positive side. Not positive like don't want to lose. I'm still, annoyed and frustrated because we could have won that game of footy, but what can we do now about it? It's more about what can we do. That's more my mindset from that game is what can we do to be better next week. So that game's past. The positive with Carlton now is when we lose a game, we know our areas of focus for the next week or the next block of games now, Patto. Last year in that first half of the year, we had that many issues in our game. We would rock up on an episode and like there'd be so many areas, but we don't really know one area that'll fix it. And in my opinion, I think in terms of probably the areas you look at, obviously conversion's a big one. But for me, it's like in terms of defense, you can't be letting 118 points for the amount of entries they had. They didn't have that many. Like, they didn't have as many as we did. I think it was 21 less than we did. And they beat us, and they kicked 18 goals, 10. So it's a credit to them too, because they just finish and get themselves in a good spot inside 50 for easy shots. I think that's an issue for us currently, getting easy shots on goal. I think that's what hurts your conversion because you're taking shots from, like some of Harry's misses were outside 50. I want him taking it 20 out in front because he kicks them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Ollie Henry, he's not popping shots from 55 on the boundary. He's right in front, isn't he? Every time. And you go, oh, they can't miss. Well, they're 20 meters out, 15 meters out. They find ways to get, they make it easier for themselves. That's what we've got to be able to do. But yeah, I'm positive about it. I think we'll be all right. And like you said, I think before we filmed, it's a loss that I don't know. It's not, we don't need it, but I think it's a loss that will actually help us in the next, few weeks. We've got a few big tests with, Collingwood next week. They're always a test. They'll be out for it next week. They will be up for the challenge. They haven't had a great start to the year, but if they get one over us, that'll launch their season. So that's probably the mentality they think of. And then you've got Melbourne, who's, been a good side for 4 years. I know they're a little bit off now, but they're on the same wins as us, the same playing field. And then you've got the Swans over there. So, having I think having Geelong first will help us because they're the benchmark. And then you start to go the lower teams, lower, not lower, but you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, the mistakes we made yesterday were just punished. And not every team can do that like the Cats do every single time, don't they? But I'm positive, Patto. I know I talked a little bit too much on that, but I just want to get it clear that I'm frustrated, but I'm positive about this team. And it's a change as Carlton supporters. We need to take losses a little bit better, in my opinion.
It's very well said and really good answer, actually. I think it was good. Like that was a good shape of how we're kind of all feeling as a supporter, where it's like you're frustrated, of course, because it's a game that was there. And I think the late surge in the last 10 minutes even hurt a little bit more because when Akers kicked that second goal, I told you, I was going down the aisle. I ran down to almost row buddy B, and I was like, "You come on the Baggers, we come on the Baggers." Now, I think that also hurts a little bit more, but once again, against one of the best teams in the competition, and for us to even still do that, to fight our way where the game was buried 2 years, last year even. We were that in that position with 8 minutes to go, we would have dropped our heads and that lead would have blown out to 45. But I don't know who kicked the first goal, but I know that Candy kicked one of the first few goals.
CRIPPS, I think.
As in like the last few goals of the
CRIPPS.
Okay, so CRIPPS kicked. Okay, cool.
I remember when he celebrated because it was about 5 minutes and he went, "Fucking come on!" He went like, "Come on, we're still a chance." Like,
right?
It was funny because I looked at it going, "Oh, like good on him for saying that." I was like, "No way!" But in my head, I'm going, 6 minutes, we can do that.
Yeah,
that it starts from the top, Patto, and we always touch on it. It starts from the top, and he kicks the goal, and he goes, "No, we're not. I'm not going. Doing a soft high five. Come on, let's do it." Like, what is the point of just giving up? You know what I mean? So, but back here, I agree. But that starts the run, doesn't it? You kick one and go, Geelong start going, "Oh shit!" Like they started to worry. They panicked. They couldn't touch the ball for like 2 minutes there. Well, Akers turned into prime bloody Gary Ablett Senior for a minute there. So. Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, I mean, it's really well said, and because I thought it may have been Cripps, but I wasn't too sure. But yeah, so Cripper, I know, kicked the first one, but Candy kicked the next one definitely. And when he kicked that, I just saw a bit of like, come on.
Yes.
And then I thought in my mind, I'm like, but we're 16 points down still. Like, but then I'm like, okay, well, if they think that made me just a little bit like, I mean, I said to my mate Jacob, I'm like, I don't know, mate. There's a bit of a heartbeat here. There's a bit of a heartbeat. It's probably going about maybe 19 beats per second, but whatever it is. But and then Akers kicked the goal, and I'm like, all right. Well, now it's 10, or maybe it was 16.
Oh, yeah, it was
14.
It was like we were kind of a goal and a half behind when he kicked his second one.
Yeah. And then when he kicked the second one, it was to 8 points, I believe. I think it was something like that. So when he kicked that second one, mate, I was out of my chair. But the even more frustrating thing is, of course, the person to end the game was Jeremy Cameron. Now, before, like, there's so many things that we can touch on tonight, and we're going a little bit off the run sheet now, but I just want to ask you a quick question now, Daf. So heading into next week, Collingwood, I know we're going to do the preview, obviously, through the week for the preview of the Collingwood game. Lewis Young, now, he is obviously a conversation that a lot of people, like a lot of Carlton supporters in general, are very divided. Now, I assumed if I was the coach and I was heading into this game and I saw their lineup and our lineup with our availability, with the injuries that we have, and Lewis Young obviously playing, I would have assumed Lewis Young would have gone straight to Jeremy Cameron and almost like a tag, because especially since the last time that we played Geelong, he was probably the only reason why they won. They were in the game. The last time we played them. So my question to you, do you think heading into that game, do you think we put enough attention to Jeremy Cameron? Because especially since Wettering did an absolute superb job on Tom Hawkins, and he showed what a leader is meant to do on the big stage. Now transition to Lewis Young with him. I mean, he was on Jeremy Cameron for most of the game until he kind of moved up the ground. What do you think about that? Do you reckon Lewis Young did his role, or do you think moving forward, if Lewis Young wants to play on a forward like that, he needs to act like that is a tagging contest and he does not let Jeremy Cameron go more than five meters? Because that last goal, Jackson Binns was on Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah.
So that was right in front of me. So where I was in, because you would have been the opposite side, that was right in front of me. So when that happened, I was like, how is this happening? And I was looking for Lewis Young. He was trying to contest that flying ball. So I understand that. But if you're going to roll off your opponent, you need to contest and impact that ball. So what's your thoughts on Lewis Young's game last night?
Oh, Lewis, I think, with a lot of people are talking about individuals, I think, in this game. And I think not like this conversation's good, but I think in a sense, people are just too, individual based. I know that's, you know what I mean? No, I think the Lewis Young conversation is a good one, but I think people are harsh on him. People are harsh on him. Like in terms of your question with the whole Jeremy Cameron, I think he's the hardest guy to play on in the league. He's back at half. He's playing deep in defence at one point, like when he pushes back and then he goes up and kicks a goal. He's a star. And I don't know. I didn't realise he kicked 5.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it just didn't. Like the 6 goals last year, obviously he dominated. He had a great game yesterday. I'm not saying that, but it wasn't like he was like, like he kicked 5, but it wasn't like that 6 goals he kicked last year where it was ridiculous. So yeah, it's a really tough situation to be in for Lewis Young. I think let's be real, he's getting the best out of himself.
Yeah, 100%.
And like you said, he's got to be closer to Cameron on that last play. But I feel like we got a really attacking mindset. We're knowing we had to just go all out in the last 3 minutes or whatever it was. And it was working for a couple of minutes there where we had to. But there was just defensively, it was interesting at some points of the game. But in terms of Lewis Young, it's a hard matchup. So I don't know. Who would have even done better on him, to be honest. Like I thought I thought Kemp was, yeah, like, I don't know. He's, yeah, because with him as well, he can't even come out of side anyway because we've got injuries. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
players like that are consistently playing. So it's going to be interesting when Gov comes back. Who, what do we actually do with that? Do we
Mm.
roll with Youngie and Weeders and go McGovern in that Kemp role? I don't know.
Yeah.
But with Youngie, I think we just get the most out of yourself, and I'm happy. And I think next week Collingwood, they're not a they've got threats, smaller threats. They don't have as big threats as the Cats in terms of, Cameron and Hawkins. So, shout out to Lewis, but yeah, it's a tough matchup.
So like that's the question, and that's when obviously we'll touch on the preview with what we think we might do come Friday night, and that's why maybe you might bring in Chin Cotter, because let's be real, there's my check down there as a key forward. There's Mason Cox, of course, that rolls forward, and other than that, their small forwards kind of shapes that forward line. So that's obviously a conversation for the preview. So we've got to try and stick to this review. But I completely agree about Lewis Young. I think it's a conversation where it's too negative, and I'm sometimes I mean, I sometimes
I do too
to him, and it's at the end of the day, if he is putting all of his effort into and also we don't know what the coaches were thinking. We were probably thinking more structure based, and I would have probably, if I was coach, I would have probably expected Lewis Young to just try tag somewhat Jeremy Cameron. But also, if we did that, who knows? We might have lost by 5 goals. So you don't know. But I think it's it's tough because Jeremy Cameron gets 5 goals, and I think he had 18 touches or something. But yeah, also look at the other side where it's like, if he was tagging, does that open up I guess an area on the ground for an Ollie Henry to dominate, because he played well also. So let's now move on to, I guess, the conversion and the game management side of things. And it's the same old issue. It's been like that for a few games this year, but once again, at least we're getting ourselves into this position where we know we kind of do shoot us in the foot. But as you said at the start of the episode, we know what we're doing wrong. So it's not like we don't know it's not like we're losing and we can't work out what's going on. There's one thing and one thing only, and it is the conversion and the game management. So 15 goals, 15 behinds. Obviously, as we mentioned at the start of the episode, we scored 35 plus disposals, 21 plus inside 50s, 6 plus clearances, plus 3 center clearances, plus 16 tackles inside forward 50.
big one.
That is unbelievable. So I think that was 18 to 20, 8 to 24.
That's massive.
And that is massive. So that's also a credit for us as well, because that is awesome that at least we are chasing inside that forward 50. But also, by those stats, if you didn't watch the game, you probably would have looked at that and be like, oh, well, that team probably would have won by 20 plus. But of course, we lost. So what's your thoughts on that, Daft Boy? I'm going to go straight to you. What's your thoughts on, because we pretty much dominated the contest, but obviously it's the conversion and game management. What's your thoughts overall on that? And was it different last night to what it was the past few weeks where conversion and game management hasn't been great?
Yeah, I think it just often starts at the start of a game when you're not converting early. It leads to this trying to catch up your conversions, and it's all mental for me in terms of conversion. As a supporter, you're hoping you get your first kind of 5 shots, at least kicking 3, 4 of them. You want to be over half. You know what I mean? We were 2 goals 8 with 1 out on the full, I think, in the first quarter, and it's just we should have been up at quarter time. And that actually puts the pressure on us again in terms of the next quarter. You're like, geez, we have to back that up again, but we've got to convert this time. You know what I mean? So I messaged you at quarter time saying, if we can get 10 shots a quarter, we're going to win this game. So I'm looking at these stats. It's frustrating me. Like plus 21, and the tackles inside 50 were huge. In terms of conversion, like I said before, I listened to it on the fan cams. I forgot who said it. I think it might have been Jad again. He's always providing. So, Chad, you're watching, shout out to you, mate. You've always got a good point of view on the game, both positive and negative. He's got a good kind of, line up there. But long shots equals long misses. Long shots equals long misses. And there was so many times in the game where, we would have shots from 50. The Curnow one late in the game, or in the last quarter, doesn't go back to his routine. He got caught up in the adrenaline. And then I think the Harry misses most of them were 45 plus. So they're harder shots on goal.
Yeah.
So, and I think that was an issue early last year. Remember, even against Essendon, where we had so many inside 50s. Remember, we were saying, we were talking about it, saying, what is going, get easy shots, like the one more kick inside 50, hit the target. I think the one player for us was Cottrell, who's been phenomenal this last month, in my opinion, in that regard, in conversion and setting up his teammates. But you look at Geelong, people go, oh, they don't miss. They don't miss. But it's like Jeremy Cameron, most of his goals are straight in front, easy peasy. You know what I mean? Like Ollie Henry. They're not doing, they're not hoping, Harry and Charlie kicking miraculous goals from the boundary all the time. That's not how you win games of footy. Grand finals aren't won on how good the goal looks. It's about how many you get. And Ollie Henry had a few from straight in front, and they're easy chips, and they get it, like they hit them, little 45s, like those types of darting kicks. I think we didn't have enough of them yesterday. And I think it's also down to a bit of laziness from the forwards where I think apart from Harry, there was not much creating leads. Like, I think that the way he goes about it is because he can take it ahead, but I think his ball is where you want to be hitting him up on the lead. You know what I mean? And I think he creates that around the ground really, really well. And I think that's the issue with Charlie at the moment. It's more like just kick it, just kick it up, just kick it up. Even the Smalls are doing that. I want you leading up. Like Matty Owies, he had 3 touches. I know he got subbed out at 3/4 time, but you can create so many more touches. You know what I mean? So much more impact on the game. Like, you're not a key forward, but on when you're leading up, he's really good at that too. So I just really, I don't know, befuddled me a bit. It's just frustrating to see. And even Charlie, he's leading the Coleman, but he's just got a lift in that regard, in my opinion. And yeah, I think conversion and game management is perfect, like as you put it though. Like, I think the one instance, as I touched on, the Charlie Curnow playing it on from 50, just go back to your routine, man. I don't care if you miss.
Yep.
Do your routine. Do not reel around and get adrenaline, and you know what I mean? So that's game management and conversion in one thing. And then what happens? They go down the other end and they convert.
Yep.
They convert. They don't miss. You know what I mean? And they don't miss, but they're having easy shots. They're not having little, boundary. Oh, yeah. Jez will kick those goals from the boundary anyway. But it's more about he gets the shots from close range. 25. It frustrates me, Patto. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it's really well put in. I'm going to throw back to Anzac Day, the Essendon versus Collingwood clash. And Brad Scott said it about in the press conference, and he spoke about when he spoke to Kyle Langford, of course, when he missed that goal. And I think some people were like, oh, it's a little bit unfair to kind of confront him about that. But it's like he didn't confront him about it. He mentioned it in front of the whole group. He said, like, he's going to use him as an example, but he's one of their best players. He's going to say, did you do your routine? Did you stick to your routine? Yes. I'm happy. Because at the end of the day, it's a professional sport. Mistakes happen.
Exactly right.
Charlie Curnow, if he does that 3 minutes with 3 points down and he rolls around, when that happened, I wasn't too happy because I'm like, take your fucking 30, Charlie.
Yeah. Yes.
Take your 30. He's within his range, and that's what I'm saying. Weeders, Cripper, Walshy, the leaders, they all stepped up when it mattered most. And Charlie, he's classified now as a leader. You don't want to put on him, of course, because well, you're almost keen because now he's classified as a leader. Yeah, like we didn't lose because of that moment, but it's moments like that, crucial moments that when it comes to finals football, these crucial moments cost you games. And that's when, and it's always been an issue with Charlie. Like, I know that last year we were mentioning it, and it even happened in their 2022 game, round 23 against Collingwood. We don't want to go back to that. But he rolls around, take your 30, mate.
Yeah.
Take your 30.
No rush.
No rush at all. It's to start the quarter. To start the quarter, first set of clearance.
The game has enough pace as it is yesterday. You need to calm down, set your teammates up. Because lack of conversion actually hurts us on the other end. You're giving them the ball, and then they launch. You know what I mean? So a lot of people don't realize that when you miss, you give them the ball.
Yeah,
makes sense. you kick that goal, goes back to the middle, we go again. So it works both ways. People just think, oh, back 50, that's only defense. I think it's all about, it's the whole bloody ground you got to set up. It's a big bloody ground, and they're a good team. We have to set up. And then we have the lack of time to set up, or, a miss, when it's a miss kick, and it's like, oh no, like when you're not expecting it, like that's when teams get caught out. Not even just us, all teams. Like the other night, the Richmond game, where I think, what's his name? The big fella from defender Ben Miller.
Oh, Miller, yeah, Richmond, yeah.
Handballs it straight to Cosy Pickett, and the rest of his teammates are running forward because they expected him to kick it down the line. So it's the same with goal kicking. It's exactly the same, because Harry has his thing now where he lines up and his teammates know what his routine is. So, okay, we're going to, set up now. He'll take his 20, 25 seconds, whatever he needs, to kick the goal. And if he misses, we're set up.
Yeah.
But Charlie goes around and we're not ready.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really well said. Like, let's be real, it's the answers right now, they're all combining to game management. And like, as you said then, Harry Mackay, like, if he goes back and takes his route, like goes into his routine, the players know that they need to set up. Now, the centre clearance, they kick it forward, Charlie marks it, the players are still behind the footy. So take your 30. If you miss it, at least we're set up. But the reason why they had the transition from defense to the forward line is because Zach Guthrie straight away, he took out the kick straight down the middle, and what do you know? They kicked a goal. And it's small thing, like, of course, in the moment, like in hindsight, you look back at him and you're like, well, what are you doing, Charlie? But in the moment, like if he kicks that goal, we're all going, oh, nah. So it's small things like that where it's like, in hindsight, you look back at him and be like, what are you doing? But he will work on that. But there's been too many moments like that, especially from Charlie, that he needs to work on. And I think it's kind of a little bit ironic, because you kind of look at it and be like, he's saved us in so many games. But need to impact games more, because I will say it, like, he did look a little bit lazy. And I'm not trying to be too harsh on Charlie, but the laziness last night, especially from Charlie, wasn't good enough. And I completely agree about their small 45 chips inside forward 50. And it's the Geelong way of getting the easy kicks. And the one thing and I was saying it once again to Jacob, my mate, at the game, the amount of times we bomb the ball inside forward 50, and it's always the kick from about 20 meters from the forward line. It's always at 20 meters where it's like, it's either Akers or Hollands or Cottrell or whoever. And I can see Charlie say, kick it up.
It's like,
no, like you need to realize that, one, Chris Scott is the best coach of almost AFL history. He knows what he's doing. He knows that Blixards, you get back as soon as they're in that, like, we surround that forward 50, because let's be real, they are going to kick the ball high and long to a Charlie or a Harry or a TDK. Make sure that we are managing that. And of course, sometimes it works out. Sometimes Harry takes a freakish mark, but I don't want to rely on the freakish marks. I want to rely on structure. I want to rely on small kicks and always having a 30-meter kick, or having a Corey Durden having a 30-meter kick, not having Harry take a freakish mark and rely on Harry always taking a freakish mark. I don't want that, because the best sides, they always win in their own way, but they also always lose in their own way as well. We can do better than that. We have found other ways, other avenues to goal, and that's something that needs to be worked on this week against the Pies, because let's be real, that's going to be the exact same thing. Their coaching staff is the exact same as Geelong. Like, they know exactly what they're doing, and they're probably the best in the business. So I'm going to go, we're going to go straight now to of course, the presser last night, Michael Voss. And it was quite interesting. Very interesting. So I'm just going to read out a few quotes, Staffy Boy, and then I'll throw it straight to you about your thoughts about, I guess, these quotes that he actually mentioned last night. So one of them was, I don't want us to accept that it was a good effort or it was close. It was unacceptable, and we've got to be better. Completely agree. 118 points, it's just too much. Unacceptable. So he's kind of pointing out the defense there, the defensive structure. It's not good enough. I agree with that as well. Geelong is a great side, but our own standards was poor. especially defensively. Once again, defensive structure, not good enough. I'm not in the mood to talk up individuals. So there's small things where it's like, I'm from the point of view of, I'm so glad this guy's our coach.
Yes.
As a supporter, we're like, oh, that was actually quite a good game of football. Like, we know exactly what to do. But if the coach is kind of looking at it, being like a little bit like steam coming out of the ears and saying that is not good enough, like I could kind of tell that he probably walked out of that press conference and walked straight into that room and sprayed the players. He probably had a little bit more to give. I don't know. Have you seen the press conference?
Yeah.
So I'll throw it straight to you, Daffy Boy. What were your thoughts on his comments and more towards his attitude with the press conference?
Gee, we've turned a corner as a club, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. There's when you look at it 2 years ago, in terms of, David Teague's press conferences, they were, wow. Well, I don't even know how to explain those press conferences, but I was pretty happy with the presser. I completely get where he's coming from, for sure. Like, we've been talking about it. We almost should have won the game. I'm not saying we should have. We could have won the game if we took our chances. I'm not saying Geelong didn't deserve it or whatever. But we shot ourselves in the foot, and we're not going to have honourable losses anymore because we've got to beat these teams in the finals. If we want to get anywhere, we can't accept losses to anyone. I don't think. Unless it's like, some miraculous game where, both teams are fantastic and it's just one of the greatest, which yesterday was pretty close to that, to be honest. But yeah, I agree. And with the 118 points, if you're scoring 105, you should not be losing a game.
Yeah.
You should not be losing a game. Like, we couldn't convert and still scored 105, which is, I guess, a positive and a negative at the same time. But yeah, and also from a presser, it's straight after the game. So he's probably a little bit fired up, and I completely get where he's coming from. I agree where he's coming from. But in my eyes, I think it was still a good effort. Like, it's the standard that internally, their standards are higher than our standards, like as fans sometimes. And I like that. So we're going to come out hard against Collingwood. I think based off that, he's not going to be pleased with that result, but he knows we're good enough. And I think there's a bit of frustration in terms of personnel too with him. You can tell it. He's, like, it's just that, like, I think the whole media's like, oh, they're playing well, all their players and stuff like that. And it's a mix of just, all that. And then he doesn't want people to feel bad for us or whatever. So, we've turned the corner, Patto. Jesus Christ, with those comments. That's, and he's right with the whole individuals. We're a team. We lost as a team. We win as a team last week. We lose as a team. We're not talking about individuals. Obviously, you'll have the talk of selection, and that's the whole point of selection, individuals. But when we're talking about as a game, we just weren't good enough. We just weren't good enough. But I think we were good. It's you know what I mean? We were good enough to beat most sides, probably. We just weren't good enough to beat them. And if we want to win the premiership, which I think we are contenders, I think us, the Giants and the Cats, and there's probably maybe another team in there, are probably contenders. Probably Giants, Cats, Blues at the moment, because we've beat the Giants. Giants have just smashed the Lions. That's what Michael Voss knows. He's a premiership player. Brisbane Lions, where they won 0-1, 0-2, 0-3. I'd imagine when they lost the game, they were not accepting it. Liam Matthews would have given them a rocket up their ass, even if they played well. So it's all about standards, Patto.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, it's a really good point. Like, we don't want to touch on David Teague, of course, but we were the opposite in terms of like, fuck, we are so shit. What is going on? And Teague would go into the presser and be like, it's okay. I think this was good. This was good. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to the positives, mate. We just lost by 100 points. I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to, what are you going to change for the next week? What hope do we have in the next weeks moving forward? What are you going to work on as a coach? And when I watched that last night, I was actually like, I reckon Voss, I kind of always guess what their coach is going to be like. I'm kind of like, I actually expected Voss to be like saying, pretty good effort. Exactly how I felt. I'm like, pretty good effort.
Yeah.
Like, of course, frustrating with the game management, but I think it was a pretty good effort. But the first 5 seconds, I'm like, oh, he's and I'm like, it's so good seeing that like that's our leader. That's a leader of the club, and he's leading us forward. And the reason for our success is all to Michael Voss. It really is. So we're now going to move on to one of the positives last night, and he just keeps delivering. And my God, I think there might be two dual Brownlow medalists at the end of the year, and it might be Isaac Heaney and this guy who is Captain Courageous, Patrick Cripps, leading his troops. And obviously we didn't get the win in the end, but leading his troops to some fight back. And as you said, like I didn't even realize that he kicked one of those first goals of the fight back, but him doing that, come on, let's go. We still got it. This is still our game to win. That's so good to see as a captain. And as you said, that's the leader. So everyone's like, well, if he believes, I'm going to believe. And it's the same as me watching as a supporter when I saw Kennedy's goal.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a chance. Okay, well, if he believes, I believe. So 29 touches, 2 goals, 6 tackles, 8 inside 50s, 8 clearances. Also to credit Mark Pittonet, who don't really have enough time to touch on his game, but hopefully we can try and touch on his game in the bag of the game votes. 11 clearances, match high by 3. So Cripple was second and Mark Pittonet was the first clearances, which his game, he has gone to another level. And I don't know if it's redemption to say to the club, I am in your best 22, and I feel disrespected that I wasn't in your best 22 for the first few rounds. But hasn't he made an impact since he's come back? So to touch on Paddy Cripps, Staffy Boy, what was your thoughts on his game as a captain? And if you want to as well, touch on Pitto's game as well.
Cripps has been phenomenal all year. Let's be real. He'll get votes almost every game, I think.
Yep.
Brisbane probably 2 or 3, maybe. Most weeks. Richmond game he was best on, I think. It's like... I actually think he's going to win it, to be honest with you. There's just something about it. We're going to win a lot of games of footy, so that always helps too. So, phenomenal yesterday. Obviously last week he came off a 39. That game was just like a one in a kind type of stupidly good game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like that one a few years ago against Brisbane. But yeah, he was fantastic. And what I'm liking about him is it's his consistency.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the last 3 years he's done that since 2022, I think, where, the years before, obviously everyone was talking shit about him, blah, blah, blah. But his body's right. And even we were touching on in the last episode, he's moving well. He's moving quicker. It helps him kind of evolve his game even more at this age. You know what I mean? Like when you're quick, you can get forward and get goals. And he's been doing that. His goal kicking has improved the last few years. It's been phenomenal. And that's what happens when you work at it. Look at Harry. He's worked at it. He's better at kicking. It's all about, and the work ethic starting from the top, being the captain is massive. And like I said, getting the boys up and about for another kind of last minute run was fantastic.
It really was, and that's really well said. Quick mention about Pitto, because I think it's obviously a thing that we obviously might need to talk about, because I don't know who your votes are for bag of the game, but quick mention about Pitto. What were your thoughts on that? And did you think the combination, once again, it's a constant conversation within Baggers Chat, but the combination with those two, TDK and Pitto, working together up against Reece Stanley, who surprisingly Geelong dropped Conway, which I don't really know if it is a surprise, and of course Big Sav's going through the ruck. So what were your thoughts overall about that combination, and more to do with Pitto?
Yeah, I think we dominated him in the ruck. I thought Pitto absolutely killed Stanley. The Conway situations, because I've got a good mate who was I caught up with him after the game, and he's massive Geelong, like us in terms of a Geelong supporter. And he said I think Conway kicked 4 in the twos or something. So which shows how bad our twos were going yesterday. But I think it was expected that they were expecting Stanley to come in. I think he was managed last week. So I think, who did they have last week? Brisbane. So in terms of Pitto and TDK, I think it worked in the ruck. I don't think it worked in the forward 50. TDK didn't kick a goal?
No, he had a shot. He just missed it.
It was a tough shot again from 50. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying about conversion. It's actually more the shots you're taking rather than your actual skill. So, yeah, Pitto's keeping TDK out of that middle to start games, and that's a positive for us, I think. So, it's going to work. It'll work, and we'll win the premiership, and we'll never ever have to talk about the ruck conversation again. But yeah, Pitto enormous. This is the best games he's ever played for Carlton.
Yeah.
Like with ball in hand, he's getting the ball. Like he's not just the tap ruckman we thought he was. He's getting the ball, and yeah, fantastic.
It's an interesting. So I didn't actually realize how TDK how many shots he had a goal. He kicked 3 behinds. So
Oh wow,
he's getting the opportunities, which I mean, I know that I remember one definitely, but he kicked 3 behinds. So you kind of think about that, and it's like whether it's once again he's probably 45 meters out, tough angle. You probably don't expect him to kick that goal, but also is it maybe execution and TDK when he gets more weeks in the forward line?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit of a wild card heading into finals. That's a bit of a wild card having TDK. But what I love, what I am such a fan about this combination is Pitto would go in against the number 1 ruck, but then TDK goes in against the second ruck. And I'm sorry if it's Flick Sarves, if it's Melbourne, when it's probably who's their second ruck? I can't.
Van Rooyen.
Van Rooyen, like my God, and Pies like Mason Cox is their second ruck. Like, let's be real, like all the best teams like Giants, they don't really have a second ruck. They've got Cadman.
Yeah, that hurt him too.
TDK going against the second ruck, fresh as well, fresh as a daisy.
Yes,
that is something that I'm quite excited for. And as I just said, I think it could be a wild card come finals time. So definitely, we're going to throw straight to the bagger of the game votes. For the viewers that don't know what this is, of course, we go through 3, 2, 1, just like the Brownlow system. 3 votes for the best player, 2 votes second best, 1 vote for the third best player. It's obviously just Carlton players. We're trying just to focus on the Carlton players from yesterday. But and when it comes to our buy round, we're going to actually touch on our votes. We are going to do a bit of a leaderboard and touch on who is up at the top for the leaderboard. But definitely, I'm going to go throw it straight to you, mate. Who is your 3, 2, 1 for yesterday's game?
It's tough. There's a lot of good players yesterday. A lot of good players. One guy just popped in my mind again. So, and he's probably unlucky to miss out. And the guy we just touched on, he's going to miss out in mine. In terms of, I don't know, I just got these 3 listed down. So I'll start off with 1. I thought Weeders, he was fantastic yesterday. There was a lot of question marks of him playing and kept Tom Hall to nothing really. Well, how many touches did he have? Like literally nothing. He was non-existent.
3, maybe? I don't even. I know that he didn't kick a goal.
8, but he didn't. He only had 1 shot on goal, which was the one from the boundary. But yeah,
impact not great.
No impact. Yeah. But yeah, Weeders I thought was really, really good. And I'll actually say 2 names is harsh to miss out. Pitto is not going to be my 3, and Elijah Hollins was fantastic. So he won't be in my 3, but he could be in my 3. 2, I've actually got Blake Acres. I thought he was great all day. He's phenomenal.
How good is he?
He's actually a gun. No, but it's not even like now. It's getting to a point where he's so consistent that he's almost an A grader, in my opinion. Like he's just like he's ridiculous. He got 28 touches, kicked those 2 massive goals near the end. I thought it was going to be one of those games again for him. I thought it was going to be like one of those match-winning games where he, just turns it on late. But yeah, he's phenomenal. 28 touches on the wing, like. You know what I mean? Like his impact is phenomenal defensively too. He's in good spots. He puts himself in good spots. When wingers put themselves in good spots, they win your games, Patto. And he does it consistently. And what a pickup he has been. What a pickup. So he's my 2, and 3's obvious. I think he'll probably be leading the leaderboard by halfway in the year. So Paddy CRIPPS with the 3, he was great yesterday.
So 3 votes.
3 votes, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, sorry. So you went Weeders 1.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. No, because I mean, I'm not surprised about Weedering, but I thought you put him as 3 votes. I'm like, no. I actually like that. So I'm going to do the exact same way. So I'm going to do 1 vote.
1. Yeah.
Pitternet.
Yeah.
And actually, I've got to. So I actually wrote down my notable mentions. So, like Blake Acres, he was unbelievable. And there was a post, I don't know if it was a Carlton channel, but it was definitely, I mean, I'm going to try and find it. And if I do find it, I'm going to put it in this episode and give them the credit. He is underrated.
Yeah.
No one talks about him.
Yeah.
last year he kicked a semi-final goal. Everyone's like acting like, Blake Acres, yeah. Like Blake Acres, he's an A-grader.
Yeah, he is.
He's the best wingman in the competition, and I will say that without a doubt. And I can't think of anyone who is even, I mean, like obviously Josh Dacos and Ed Langdon are the two guys, but seriously, no one comes close. Like you can maybe call him Max Holmes, but he's a half backer. Acres, genuine winger. So Blake Acres was fucking fantastic. Harry Mackay, notable mention as well. I thought
he was good, man.
Yeah.
He ran 15. He was third highest meters ran. 15 Ks.
As a key forward.
He's ridiculous. And we're lucky to have him, man. Jesus. I know I rave on about him, but he is a talent. He is a talent.
Yeah.
He's, like we say, sorry to butt in.
No, that's okay.
In terms of Harry and Charlie, the work rate is entirely different, in my opinion. That's just the way I look at it. I don't want to have a go at Charlie, but if he had Harry's work rate or kind of nous, like forward kind of structure, I don't know. Charlie's a fantastic footballer as well, but it is different. I think he's more gifted. Charlie, like talent. Harry's got talent, but hard work is fucked.
Works harder, yeah. Like going up the ground, and he's crucial marks when kick it outside, like Jordan Boyd kicks it out and he sees Harry Mackay running in those pink flashy boots on the MCG and takes a mark. Like you know that he's going to mark it as well, because if he gets a few meters on his opponent, he is quick. So he knows that if you get him on the lead, he's taking the mark 10 out of 10. So Harry Mackay, another notable mention. I kind of feel like naming the whole team. It was weird because it feels like we won the game, but we didn't. I think we're kind of just quite positive about it because at the end of the day, as football lovers as we are, that was just a great game of football at the MCG. Elijah Hollins, I have the exact same. Now, Sam Walsh, my God. He's what? His third game back, second game back?
Yeah. 31.
And just a lazy 31 on the MCG. Like he always kicked that goal, and I'm like, he kicked that goal. I would have been. You saw me row B. I would have been on the ground, mate. And the streak and the security guards would have been like, "Who's this guy on the ground? Get him off! Give him the fine." But I'm going to get into my bag of the vote. I'm going to stop. So 1 vote Pitto, 2 votes Jacob Wiedering, and 3 votes. I think it's a bit biased because he's obviously my favourite player, but Paddy Cripps, 3 votes. My God.
Yeah.
And I think, like, come Brownlow night, Jeremy Cameron, you'd expect to get the 3 votes. I reckon Cripps gets 2. Cripps gets 2.
I got a feeling Cripps will get the 3.
Yeah. It's just because Geelong won the game.
Yeah, true.
And Jeremy Cameron kicks 3. 5. He kicks 5. And
it is umpires though. They weren't particularly fantastic yesterday. We'll just a little dig on them, but move on.
I'm glad we kind of didn't. We've kind of steered that conversation, but I think those umpires as a collective probably shouldn't be working together any other game. So that's a bit. I mean, obviously the umpires. No, I mean overall, we're not going to blame the umpires. At the end of the day, we all make mistakes. There might be crucial errors that they saw, and they might come out today and say that was an incorrect call or that was a correct call, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, come on, let's just make sure that we're calling the game a little bit better, Daffy boy. So before we wrap up the episode, mate, is there anything else you would like to touch on before we wrap it up?
Massive week this week. Friday night, under the lights, Collingwood. Every time the fixture comes out, that's the first game I look for. That is the first game I look for. We've got them twice again this year, so it's a statement we need to make. It is a statement to them and them personally. Every single one of them. The supporters, their coaches, their fucking players. 50 points we need to beat them by. Smack them into the ground. And go, we're better than you. We're better than you now. It comes at you fast. They might talk about last year. It's 2024 now. It's moved on now. You won your flag. Good on you. You're not winning this year. It's our fucking time, mate. We got to put. It's those moments we've been thinking about for years, Patto. I don't know if you think about it, but when you play a rival in your head, every time you play them, it's like, oh, this could be a massive win. You know, it could be the greatest night. You know what I mean? It's an extra. Like, I know the game of the weekend was a blockbuster, but there's something about these games against the Pies, and we're both going to be in the finals this year, I'd imagine. So, woo, get into it, boys.
Oh, like the preview is going to be. You
Oh,
always look towards these games. Like I just said, it's the one game that I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't care about Richmond round 1. Where's Collingwood? Okay, round 9, bang, or round 8, bang. That's who we care about right now in this point in time. So completely agree. The preview is going to be an absolute great episode. So make sure to tune in. We're not sure what time we're going to try and release that, but we're going to try and sort it out. And of course, we'll make sure we let the viewers out there know as soon as possible. But once again, I think it was a game that great game of football. Frustrating that we lost. We live, we learn, we move on, bang, on to next week, which is you kind of let that game go by pretty quickly because next game is, of course, the arch rivals against the reigning premiers. So to every single Blue Bagger and AFL supporter and sports supporter as a whole, we do 2 episodes a week, preview and review for the Carlton games, but we also try and post as much as possible on our social accounts. So make sure to try and get around those. We are on Instagram, TikTok, all those social medias, but also we are on the platforms for the podcast, YouTube, obviously, Spotify, Apple Music. There's a few platforms that we're on. So make sure to give us some love on those platforms. But to you, Daffy boy, and to every single Blue Bagger out there, the Baggers!
come on.